Anyway, camera broken. That's fine. Doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so I have a very specific part I plan on reading today, and then I'll be finishing episode 8 tomorrow. So I checked beforehand in the wiki page. I mean, I'm gonna know exactly when it comes up anyway. It's a few too many songs for me to really want to count, but it's also not unreasonable. It's like, if I tried resetting it, yeah, I did. I tried resetting it in the OBS display a few times. The only other thing I could do is plug and unplug it, and I don't know which USB cable it is, so that's a bit inconvenient. Just enjoying my Ultra Rosa this morning, don't worry. Alright. But let's begin. Shannon and Cannon stood guard in front of the door to the Golden Land. They glared quietly and fearlessly at the entire fleet of ships across the horizon. No, I don't need my ring light today, do I? Shannon slowly lifted her hands. Cannon raised his right hand and a red blade appeared there. Stop right there. I forbid you to come any closer. If you do, I'll kill you. Honestly, I might just go cameraless for tomorrow, purposefully, because there's scenes where I think having my camera on screen would ruin things. And also, what if I tear up? So. And I'll look into fixing it once Umineko's done. They could see a single dinghy leaving the fleet and approaching them. They couldn't tell if it was a messenger or the first wave. Shannon and Cannon watched it cautiously. At the head of that dinghy, rowed by goats, stood Erica. Where the heck did she get that thing from? Maybe she's trying to act the part of the fleet's leader. Erica was glaring at them, and smiling aggressively with what appeared to be a pirate hat on her head. Yeah, I guess the original art doesn't add the pirate hat. Later versions of the portrait do. But just pretend that she has a fancy, really generic looking pirate hat on right now. I've come to deliver our terms. There will be room for negotiation. There's no point clipping my reaction to something I've already played before. Please open the gate. Shannon and Cannon looked at each other. Eric was the one offering this deal. It wasn't likely to be anything agreeable. However, if they turned her way, the attack would probably begin at once. Since they were in a firmly inferior position, they wanted to buy time by any means they could. At Shannon's nod, Cannon raised his sword. The Golden Land was filled with a hard downpour accompanied by occasional thunder. Erica, who realized that this weather spoke for their emotions, smiled even more broadly. At the center of the Golden Land was the arbor surrounded by the Golden Rose Garden. A large number of humans and illusions were there, arguing about something. Well, I guess so. I'm just checking something here. Ah, yes, okay, thank you. I'll show off the pirate hat real quick here. Just so everyone can see what it's like. This is Erica in her pirate hat. Oh, she's even got like little cat ears on the icon there, actually. I never noticed that, it's cute. Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever done a full playthrough of the PS3 graphics or anything, so I wouldn't have known, I guess. Even without asking, it was easy to guess the nature of the debate by their anguished expressions. After all, in this life-or-death situation, they didn't have many options they could take. In the direction Eric was being led, Beato stood waiting, accompanied by the Chester sister corpse. When Erica, accompanied by her goat guards... Huh? Oh, right, yeah, okay, I see. I got confused for a second because... Right, yeah, of course, the goats aren't on Beatrice's side this time, yes. I just woke up. When Erica, accompanied by her goat guards, saw Beato, she gave a bow that only appeared graceful. Beato followed suit and gave a graceful bow of the sort that was rarely seen from her. I am Beatrice, master of the Golden Land, the Golden and Endless Witch. Announce yourself. As though implying that she was more than happy to go through with this farce, Beato introduced herself boldly and requested that Erica do the same. We have been dispatched from the Great Witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating's noble city of carefully selected woods. I am the Witch of Truth, the commander of the Library Fleet, which is committed to bestowing honor and protection to books. My name is Furure Erica. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Shall we get down to business? You ought to celebrate. We of the library fleet, dedicated to offering honor and protection to books, have come to bring good news to you all. First, I would like to announce that, after careful selection, the City of Books has acknowledged and accepted the game board created by the Endless Witch Beatrice as a great and honorable book. Oh, that is indeed a great honor. That game board is a profoundly entertaining and original masterpiece, worthy of close study. Yukishi 7, you can't just, in story, declare your book to be a masterpiece. But he's doing it. It deserves to be... Hold on. It deserves to be released for all our subjects to read. And so, the City of Books has ordered us to grant eternal honor and protection to this game board. This is all quite long and boring. Get to the point. We demand that you hand the entirety of this game board over to the Honorable City of Books. Doing so will give this board and its pieces the greatest honor and protection imaginable. And if we refuse, you will be prosecuted for the crime of monopolizing a great cultural artifact that ought to be shared among all of our subjects. We are here to notify you of the impending assault, one which will be waged by us to protect the benefits that are the rightful property of all subjects, not yours alone. I think they did a really good job, phrasing all this stuff. This kind of blather is difficult to get across properly. Are you not concerned that the shared property of all subjects might be destroyed in this assault of yours? According to the Great Library Protector Regulations, when a criminal guilty of monopolization of a cultural artifact raises that objection, as you have now done, the Executive Fleet may prioritize arrest over its protective duties as long as they obtain permission from the Great Court. Of course, we have already obtained the Great Court's written authorization. I imagine the word arrest is closely followed by dead or alive, am I right? My, I'm impressed that you can read those tiny letters. Now enough fooling around. Let's hear your answer. What do we have to gain by accepting your conditions? Both of us will be saved the troublesome task. Furthermore, your brave and noble acts will be recorded as a glorious final chapter in the City of Books. You do understand, right? You have no chance of winning. This isn't even a fight. It's just you sitting there at the bottom of a well while people throw stones at you. I like how much you can portray with just moving Erika's portrait like that. She's probably like walking circles around Beato slowly to like intimidate her. I can picture it. So, you claim that I have the power to choose nothing except how the library witches will record my final moments. The rest depends on you. If you treasure this game board, you ought to surrender. The pieces will be treasured by many loyal subjects for all time and will be able to continue their roles on into eternity. In other words, the tragedies that created it shall repeat forevermore. How is that any different from what you've been doing so far? It isn't. Is there anything else? If not, allow me to give you my answer. Go ahead. Erika tensed slightly. After all, this was the great Lady Beatrice she was dealing with. She might shout, "Here's my answer," dramatically do something crazy. I hope she does, I hope she does. They say a cornered rat is the most likely to bite a cat. Furthermore, Erika had intel telling her that the great Lady of the Delta, Witch of the Senate, had been spending her time inside the Golden Land, though only as a theater-goer. Erika needed to carry out this noble task that her master had assigned her, and she had to carry it out perfectly. If she was honest, she wanted to make Beato raise a white flag, even by trickery if necessary. So, even though this was a farce, she held back from giving any unneeded provocation. This must have been very difficult for her. She gulped and tried to size Beato up. It was a large Beato, a very well-sized Beato. And then, with a pathetic expression on her face, Beato let out a sigh. I'll be honest. The truth is, I'm tired. What do you mean by that? My game had already achieved its purpose when my fight with Battler ended. And yet, for various reasons, the game has repeated several times since then. To be perfectly honest, I'm tired of it. To be honest, that isn't the answer I was expecting at all. So you want to surrender? Really? Simply put, I don't care either way. It doesn't matter whether I surrender or whether we're vanquished by you. I simply wish to have the curtain closed on this game board and tale, regardless of who does the deed. Of course, that was a lie. She knew she couldn't win even if she fought. For now, their best option was to play for time. They would fix Erika's attention to this spot, and during that time, Battler and the others would steal the key from Bernkastel while she was completely off her guard. Once they had the key, they would return to the Goldland, use that key to let Angie open the door to the future, and see her off. Hold on, I gotta moisten my lips here. That was their goal line. Everything that happened after that would be inside the cat box, and you would live on into the future with hope. No one would know whether Beato and the others were alive or dead. That was enough. The only strategy Beato and the others could use to achieve this was to buy time. If you do surrender, it may be a bit of an anticlimax, but it will save me a lot of trouble. But well, it is not quite so simple. You see, and this is just between you and me, as you may know, the great Lady Lambda Delta is staying here. She is, pushing us to show her a dramatic climax. That's a pretty cruel whim to force on someone. How are a few wimpy people in what's basically an already solved puzzle supposed to fight against our fleet with its hundreds of thousands of troops? Very true, very true. The gap in strength is overwhelming. We told her that it wouldn't even be a fight, but... well, Lady Lambda Delta didn't listen and just said she would bring some of her friends to support us, so we should fight with everything we had. Lady Lambda Delta's friends. Unlike Bird Castell, who kept to herself, Lambda Delta had many friends. Her friends and patrons were either territorial lords of great influence, who came from all over the place, or else monsters that had become legends in their own timelines. In all seriousness, her so-called fan club had enough size and influence that it could have suddenly declared itself a separate country in the Sea of Fragments without anyone being overly surprised. This is quite a problem for us, with Lady Lambda Delta all ready for action. Without any regard for us, she keeps calling up friends and acquaintances on the phone from all over the place, telling them to come over. Of course, this was all a lie. Lambda Delta had turned into a small candy comet and was now shooting towards the city books with Battler and Angie in tow. So to make sure that Lambda Delta's and Battler's absences were not noticed, everyone was crowded around the arbor, pretending to argue furiously with each other. Battler-sama, give us your decision. We, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, are prepared for death at any time. I firmly oppose taking a last stand that would lead to our deaths. What could possibly be gained by dying? How could he be such a coward? It is inconceivable that we should live on as shame as prisoners. There are times when the mere fact of being alive gives one opportunities. Yes, indeed. A short temper makes a bad leader. Battler, if you call yourself a man, now's the time to act like one. The great Lady Lambda Delta-sama is even willing to help out, right? I agree. These are the times when a man has to make a tough decision. In many cases, the timing of a decision is more valuable than the decision itself. If we surrender, they might not be violent. You can't be serious. Weren't you supposed to be a male lion? Where are your fangs now? If death awaits us regardless, I would rather die as a wolf than a pig. Are you stupid? Are you saying you want to die like a dog? It all depends on the strength of the support Lambda Delta-san can provide. Lambda Delta-san, are your friends really strong enough to win against them? It's a bet. We'll either surrender and die, or we'll lose a bet and die. Interesting. In that case, our chances for survival must be higher if we take that bet. An honorable surrender will surely cause the Great Court to show mercy. They're backed by the Senate, aren't they? Sure, they'll have been hot, but we'll all see the guillotine in the end. Anyway, let's all calm down. Cool your heads. I'm opposed to letting our emotions control us. Why don't you calm down first? We have another possible strategy. Mutually assured destruction. George. We might not be able to win, but if we can convince them that we plan on taking enough of them with us, that might force our opponents to show restraint. So basically, if they're determined to attack, we'll let them know we aren't going down without doing some damage first. Hehehe. All of Lambda Delta's friends are incredible. She knows lots and lots of witches, beasts, demons, and gods, all of which have really, really huge legends and histories. Even if those ships outnumbered the stars in the sky, Lambda Delta's friends would wipe them out with a single blast. Hehehe. So do we think that Lambda Delta can summon, like, Cthulhu? Or is she able to summon, like, Jeff the Killer? Like, which end of the scale are we going toward here? I wonder. Will this really work? She hasn't seen through her act yet, has she? It is working. You must speak more forcefully as well. Do not worry about politeness. Enough, you gutless swine. You lack the backbone to finish with a bang. But hold on. Don't forget that some of us are opposed to fighting. I think we should surrender. What? Goda, you loser-loving fool! Ouch, master, it's just an act. Yarr! You're not supposed to yell that part, Goda. Well, it looks like the debate has gotten quite heated. So will we surrender? Or will we fight back? Which will it be? Nobody knows. Personally speaking, I would love to surrender. If my role will end either way, I would prefer that my game board be preserved the way I made it. I could not bear to have Lady Lambda Delta continue to use it however she pleases. We don't want that either. I came here to fight you, but I'm no match for Lady Lambda Delta's friends. Secretly, Eric was getting worried by these complicated developments, and she was relieved that she hadn't pushed too hard early on. She wanted to flatter Beato and end this with a bloodless takeover. Even the great Lady Lambda Delta probably wouldn't seriously think of picking a fight with the Senate. Her motive was probably something much more trivial, a simple desire to watch the game board's final fireworks from a front row seat. However, if she really did have some fireworks of her own prepared, it was at least possible that this could turn into a ruckus that Erica would have no chance of quelling. Beato saw all of this going on in Erica's mind, so she continued to act with an even more pathetic expression on her face. Even among witches, her acting ability was top-notch. Might you be willing to lend us some of your strength, so that my game board's beauty will be preserved? Truly, it was a great error to invite that busybody as a guest. Haha. I understand. I'd like to end this quietly too, if I can. So how could we work together? For some time now, we've been arguing over whether we should surrender or resist. I intend to return to them and propose that we surrender and ask Lady Lambda Delta not to do anything that might destroy the game board. That would please me very much. So what should I do? I would like you to guarantee that we have the necessary time to debate the matter. After all, your ships are surrounding and pressuring us at the moment. Everyone is so tense at the thought that we might be attacked at any time that they're falling apart. So if you guarantee that we will have enough time to discuss this amongst ourselves, everyone will surely be able to keep their composure during that time. Furthermore, I will have enough time to convince Lady Lambda Delta. Very well. About how long do you need? Would you be gracious and avoid giving a specific time limit? If a time limit is imposed, everyone will just fall apart again as the time limit nears, possibly leading to a more radical decision. You have a point there. Yeah, Beatrice is good at negotiations. This is the first time we've really seen it, I think. I think this kind of seems really funny. You have a point there. The most important thing about a fuse is whether it's lit or not. The length of the fuse is a trivial matter. In that case, will you give us the time we need? Understood. I guarantee that you'll have time to discuss it. However, that time won't be unlimited. I'll wait here and listen on your discussion. Well, as far as that goes, it is true that your mere presence here has everyone on edge. I've already made my concessions. Isn't it your turn now? They were some distance away from the arbor, but it was just close enough to give a general idea of what was going on. It was far enough that they just might be able to hide the fact that Battler and Lambda Delta were missing, just far enough for them to convincingly act like this was a white-hot argument in gridlock. If it were possible, they would rather have kept Erica at an even greater distance. They had planned to set up a seat of honor for their guest at one of the far corners of the garden maze. Is there some sort of problem? Okay, don't make such a scary face. In that case, please wait here. This is a, confidential conference, so you must, come no closer than this line. Okay, Beato, your act is starting to fail a little. You're faltering. Beato drew a line in the ground with her foot. Help them see me in a good light. If it's clear that I have obtained a generous agreement from you, that will be a powerful weapon in my hands in the debate. Could I get a chair? Yes, of course. Gesture troops, bring Lady Erica a chair and umbrella at once. And a hand towel, too. I'll wipe it nice and clean for you. Beato, no, don't make that face. My lady, have there been any developments in our negotiations? Wahahaha, if anything's certain, it's that I'll be winning this year's prize for Best Actress. That's our Beatrice-sama. All we can do is argue fiercely, squabble amongst ourselves, and make it look like things will turn for the worst if negotiations break down. Indeed. This is yet another fight to support Battler's group. Get yourselves ready, everyone. Let us argue and insult with all we have. Got it? Yes, Master. I'm ready to say fuck, Master. The sight of Goda, his cheek red and swollen from being pinched, made everyone snort, but they quickly covered their mouths and put fingers to their lips. Then everyone nodded at each other, and the fake argument resumed. Erica was sitting in the chair that the Chester sisters had brought her, filling a goat in on the details of the discussions. The goats would probably return and tell the rest of the fleet. The fleet would tell Berncastel, and Berncastel might think of some plan to deal with this situation or give new orders. The conversation with the goat ended, and it spun around. It would return to the dinghy and report on this to the fleet. It slipped out from a rose bush and passed through the garden maze, heading through the door that led outside. Is it really okay to let that goat reach the boats? If it goes back, Erika's report will reach Berncastel's ears. The Siesta sister spoke through a secret channel that only they could use. 2 seconds, yeah. Wouldn't even be a sound, yeah. I thought the whole thing was, it was very loud when you attacked. That's why you couldn't help at first during the mansion raid. It's just about to leave Erika's sphere of awareness. Estimated 10 seconds before it reaches the Goat Boatman's sphere, so assassination can be carried out successfully. Lady Beatrice, your permission to assassinate, if you please. We can do it. Erika will sense nothing. You do not have permission. Did you think an envoy would leave their ship without setting a time limit? The fleet probably has orders to attack if it is in contact with this a certain period of time. Let that goat go. 00 understood. The goat passed through the door. Then, after receiving a silent bow from Shannon and Cannon, it got in the dinghy and returned to the fleet. The fleet would probably follow Erika's orders and stand by until an attack order was given. That gave the residents of the Golden Land a chance to assassinate Erika, but of course that wasn't going to be possible, practically speaking. She was Baron Castell's greatest underling and a witch who controlled truth. Tricking her was all they could hope for. Anything else would be overconfident. Why don't you all have a seat too? Avery, no, go on, honey. You need have no worries about us. Without any hint that she had just been talking about assassinations, 00 stood upright with her hands clasped behind her neck. Surrender or resist until the end. The false argument resumed. Just how far and how long would they be able to trick Erika? Yes, the final fight for the Golden Land had already begun. The stand user has already begun their attack. Battler, you can count on us to handle things here. It's time for you and Angie to take this final game back. I don't know, I kind of want to keep on watching what's going on here. This is one freakishly huge library. I've heard that each one of these books has a tale like ours inside it. After all, this is a world of gods. You can tell at a glance that it's no place for scum like you to be in, right? After passing through the barrier, the three of them had finally made it inside the City of Books. For some time, they were overcome by the countless otherworldly sights before them, but they quickly remembered their original objective. Are you listening? First off, don't get the wrong idea. You two came here to fight Byrne, but that doesn't mean walking up to her and attacking her directly, okay? We know. In the first place, you were only able to fight the Great Beatrice on an even footing because the game board protected you with the rules that made it that way. If you leave the game board, you're more like something that'll leave a small stain on her palm when she swats you. Don't forget that, got it? Makes sense. This isn't the game board we're familiar with. We didn't come here to fight. We came here to take something back with us. Exactly. You're here to prevent the Book of the Single Truth from being exposed to the public. That's your only goal, your only fight. You'd better not be confused about that. Val and Angie nodded to show their understanding. The Book of the Single Truth itself is being displayed openly in the middle of the party, so stealing that'll be impossible. However, bringing in the key is going to be a big part of the ceremony, which means the key must be stored in a different place, but there's no guarantee that it'll be undefended. After that, it's all up to your luck. I hope it's good for your sakes. Hide. And the Delta pulled her head back from around the corner of a bookshelf. The others hurriedly followed suit. In the distance, they saw emerald green lights floating about and leaving trails. I guess Baron Castell technically has protagonist privileges from Higurashi, so she's just... Actually, I guess I can't really say she's unkillable after... I mean, in fact, Higurashi protagonist privileges actually mean that you're more likely to die. Come to think of it. Yeah, forget the line of logic I was having. They could probably beat Byrne. Just summon a truck. Those are Byrne's cat familiars. She's got them patrolling all over the place today. Did she guess that we would come? No. Don't forget how huge this place is. Those are staff cats out looking for idiot guests who've gotten lost so they can be taken to the lost children area. And that's not where we want to go at the moment. Not at the moment. Later, sure. I kinda do want to play the Nintendo 64 they have set up there. If it looks like one's about to find us, should we take them out? I'd advise against it. Maybe if this were some other territory or game board. This is Byrne's home base. That single cat should make you as scared as being surrounded by a crowd of vicious beasts. Plus, they're cats. They've got good senses and they'll call for their friends. If they spot you, you'd better be prepared for what happens next. I'm not going to save you. Just getting you here has been troublesome enough. If we surrender, I might get off the hook with being stripped naked and thrown into the worst sort of crappy fragment for just a century. How wonderful. I think I can sympathize with Burn's feelings a bit now. And the Delta wasn't laughing. Most likely, even this punishment she spoke of was pretty optimistic. Even though she keeps saying that she won't help anymore, she's already risking everything. Why? Isn't it obvious? And the Delta brushed her hair back and grinned. It's because you're going to show me the perfect happy ending. No, she just wants to beat Burn somehow. Make Burn cry. And the Delta hugged their heads at the same time, making their foreheads bonk together. You'd better show me for certain. Yeah, we'll certainly show you a happy ending. We'll certainly take this cat box back. Let's go. This way, and swim quietly. The three of them swam out into the darkness of the deep ocean trench that was the City of Books. And that massive, vast trench of bookshelves, they vanished into the darkness almost immediately. That was the vocal version. The library defied the common sense of the human world. The City of Books. The word city was no exaggeration, and it was filled with the green, glowing eyes of Brincastell's countless cat familiars. Trying to count them would be almost as crazy as counting all the fish in the ocean. They formed schools that swam all over the place, on the lookout for any fools who might miraculously manage to slip in and disturb their master's party. If Balor's group was found, the cats would report it instantly. They would probably form a pack, open their large mouths, and swallow them in a single gulp. There would be no fight. In this place, Balor's party would be swallowed like tiny fishes if they were discovered. I didn't realize they were giant cats. Did I skim over that? The warships surrounding the Golden Land were well more than 100 strong. Each of them had dozens of cannons pointing at the door to the Golden Land. The goats that packed the decks of the ships numbered in the tens of thousands. Each of them carried enough anti-magic toxin in their fangs to completely deny one of the game board pieces. This time, they would chew apart and eat away everything. A crowd of goats unleashed their rotten breath and dangling drool. At that time, Erica, who wanted to avoid trouble and hoped Beata would be able to convince Lambda Delta to surrender peacefully, was sitting alone, calmly enjoying the tea Ronave had poured for her. Of course, even Erica wasn't planning to give them unlimited time. In her mind, she had already decided to allow them 3 yawns before stepping in. This actually isn't so bad, getting to watch Beata try and convince her own as they call her a coward and a loser. Indeed, it is impressive that our short-tempered mistress has managed to become such an adult. What's so funny? Oh, pardon me. Are you ready for another cup? Please feel free to enjoy a collection of great teas from across the globe at your leisure. Lambda is leading Beato's side into an all-out resistance, and she's gathering her friends. Is this a joke? The messenger cat shook its head, then continued to dispassionately meow its report. Even Lambda isn't that stupid. She should know what it means to have Ow as her enemy. Even as she said this, Brinca still was chewing away at her thumbnail. Despite how she looks, that kid has a lot of strange friends. They're all idly curious, crazy monsters. Even so, to take up arms against the Senate. It was possible. She could think of many monsters among Lambda Delta's friends, who would love to see a losing side gain support and make a comeback victory. Before she realized it, the finger Brinca still was biting was covered with sweat. She could do it. She really is a moron sometimes after all. Give me a phone, quickly. The cabinet lipped away, then flew back with a phone and receiver. I'm going to call up her friends. I have to warn them not to get involved in this stupid game. Phone numbers. Why don't I have any phone numbers saved in here? Oh right, I have no friends. How are you supposed to greet people over the phone? Does hello work? Meow. Yes, just meow with them. The golden key was being kept in a room inside the City of Books. However, perhaps her room wasn't a fitting word to use. She probably has an old flip phone. It was large enough that you could probably fit 2 doomed baseball stadiums in it if you tried. Domed baseball stadiums in it if you tried. Even so, in this city, these were called rooms. Floating in the center of this vast room were several sacred magic circles. If you see this, DM me the word meow. Wrapped around by these magic circles was Angie's gold key. Surrounding these were countless emerald green stars which looked like a slowly revolving planetarium. The eyes that numbered the same as the stars were all glaring in the same direction. Come on, don't look at me like that. I'm on your side. Did you forget? One of the cats cat paddled towards Ava, yelling that no one was allowed to enter this room. Lady Baron Castell has ordered me to guard that key, so why don't you leave this to me and get lost? After looking at each other with suspicious eyes, the cats glared at Ava again, as though this saying that they hadn't heard any such order. By the way, cats have pretty soft bodies, don't they? Makes them much easier to chew. Ava lifted up her golden staff, and the floor and ceiling of the vast room were covered with red lines. Reaction from the cats was lightning fast. They realized instantly that this was hostile behavior. The entire emerald green constellation writhed and became a single massive deep-sea fish, which charged at Ava with its cavernous mouth open wide. However, at the same time, the red lines on the floor and ceiling, the massive spiderweb, pinched itself together and crushed the fish, twisted it, spun it around and around, and compressed it into the size of a small ball. Cat violence. Anyway, come on, honey. That's like the 4th time you've gotten up there. No, don't do it, or I'm gonna do to you what's happening on screen right now. I'll squeeze you into a ball. Then that ball-shaped thing burst open, leaving nothing left. It all happened in an instant. If only you just give up and die. Ah. The witch hunters were holding a convention in the event hall. After all, when Ushidune Eva's diary was opened, the endless cat box would be lost, along with the countless imagined stories that had entertained them for so long. So this final convention was a time for them to air their best theories one last time. While the opening of the cat box did give them a slightly lonely feeling, they couldn't contain their excitement as intellectual rapists. Not when they knew that a Kanjima mystery was finally going to be solved once and for all. Please tell me that they don't hand out, like, badges with that on it or something at the convention. If that box were opened, a single girl would be hurt. However, their jaws and fangs couldn't care less. The witch-hunting goat nobles kept licking their lips, wanting to chew apart the guts of Beatrice's cat box as soon as they could. Seated upon a solemn throne, Solital looked like a pillar. Featherine listened in on the nonsense being spewed from the mouths of the goat nobles. A black cat wearing a cape silently appeared and whispered something into Featherine's ear. No, that is fine. Everything is going according to my plot. You need not inform my Miko. The cat bowed humbly and vanished. Featherine raised her wine glass high and laughed as though she looked through it to the light of the chandelier, which was as beautiful and majestic as the moon. This should be enough to thank you for your excellent reading, child of man. Well now, just who is weaving this tale? Am I for you, or you for me? What do you think? A trap? As Balor's group moved forward, darting from bookshelf to bookshelf and avoiding the eyes of the cats, they found something strange. Written with a faintly glowing red substance was a letter and an arrow. K. Left. That's what it looked like to them. You think K means key? His marks only appeared when he got close. This is a message aimed at us. Is there anyone here besides us who would be willing to help? I didn't think we had any allies. And she traced the red arrow with her finger. It was written with very faint, thin strings that had been tied together. This red stuff that stuck to your finger and tore away like cotton candy had to be... There was someone on our side. Someone who's always been on my side. How can you be so sure? Yeah, I get it now too. Lambda, we can trust the person who wrote this. She'll probably be able to guide us to the key safely. Are you sure? Then let's go. We don't have time to be standing around. Thank you, Mom. I mean, you could just tell them. We don't need everything during this song playing to be, like, super dramatic. In the arbor, the argument over whether they should surrender or fight continued without signs of stopping. Every now and then, a small fight would break out, which fortunately ended up delaying Erika's third yawn. However, they didn't know how long they would have to continue this fake fight. Keeping this high level of tension going was physically stressful. The instant they tired out and the tension faded, Erika would probably demand a verdict. They had to constantly appear to be trapped and agitated. It was a battle of weariness and tension. This was their fight. Erika waited patiently. Now that she had tired of tea, she was watching Ronabe perform some magic tricks, and seemed to be enjoying herself considerably. Even Ronabe, who was usually aloof from the world, was fighting. If Erika got bored and had a tantrum, an all-out attack would probably begin at once. He was also putting his life on the line in the fight to buy time for Balor's group. As the fiercest leader in the argument, Beata wore out the quickest. She breathed heavily, and her face was so pale it seemed like she might fade at any moment. Beata, hang in there. Your body won't hold out much longer at this rate. Then just suddenly burst into tears and rest for a while. We'll pick up the slack. I'm still fine. I can do this. Just one more push. Let's go. Zoos of Nets. Who wants to be beaten down first? Oh, here he is. In that case, I, Goda, am prepared. I will 1v1 Beatrice. We must fight. It would be outrageous to accept defeat without fighting. As I've said from the beginning, fighting with all we have is the only option. Hold on a second. Erica suddenly rose from her chair. Whenever he tried to coax her back into her seat, but Erica's attention was completely focused on those arguing under the arbor. I'm the detective. My memory of what I hear is as good as a recording. We are aware of that, of course. You are quite an excellent detective, after all. I'm not interested in you, Goda-san. I have one question for you. Yes, ma'am. Have I done something to cause offense? Hold on. Don't forget that some of us are opposed to fighting. I think we should surrender. Those were the first words I heard from you when I arrived here. However, you just said this. We must fight. It would be outrageous to accept defeat without fighting. As I've said from the beginning, fighting with all we have is the only option. That's what you said. Well, did I say that? It is hardly strange for an opinion change in the course of discussion. Indeed. All of us have been feeling doubts about our position lately. So an occasional change of opinion wouldn't be... No. From beginning to end, no one has changed their opinion in this argument. Just now, Goda-san alone flipped his position 180 degrees. Furthermore, I can't imagine that any of the statements made by the rest of you were sufficient to make Goda-san switch his position. An uncomfortable, moist wind blew by. Everyone was silent, frozen as though time had stopped. In that silence, Erica continued with a blank expression. This can lead us to two conclusions. First, it may be that Goda-san has no opinion, and is just a loser who will say anything that goes with the flow. Goda, admit it. Admit it. Hurry up and admit it. It's the better option. She's giving you an out. Second, it may be that none of you has an opinion, and this entire argument exists only for its own sake. Aren't you overthinking this a bit? Here we are in a desperate debate that will decide our fate. I hardly think it strange that some people would act abnormally under such pressure. I think if she's listening in on this closely enough to hear and record every line in her head, surely by now she would have noticed that Battler isn't here. The only reason for prolonging a meaningless argument is to buy time. Do you have anything to gain by buying time? Is it because Lady Lim the Delta's reinforcements will come? That can't be true either. After all, for some time now, I've heard all of you speak to Lady Lim the Delta and Battler occasionally, but not once have I heard them reply. See? Taking all of this into account, we are left with only one conclusion. That Lady Lim the Delta and Battler are not here now, and that these people have won Lady Lim the Delta's assistance, with Lady Lim the Delta and Battler probably planning to sneak into the City of Books. Thankfully we don't know about Angie yet. In which case, the goal is probably to steal back the Golden Key and Angie. And your plan was to act as bait and buy time until their mission was complete. But because of Goda-san's single poorly chosen line, this level of reasoning is possible for Frodo to Erica. What do you think, everyone? With a blank, yet ruthless expression, Erica spoke these words and returned to her seat. Everyone else was frozen, unable to move. No one spoke. However, time was moving. As evidence, a bead of sweat dripped down from someone's cheek, fell, and hit the table with a tiny audible splat. Then, frozen time shattered, and in the same instant, the white chair Erica had been sitting on broke apart. The stakes of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, and the high-velocity rounds from the Chester Sister's corpse hit the chair at exactly the same time. And a few moments after that, the Erica sitting in that chair faded and vanished. Sorry, she was actually... Oh, well, I was gonna say after image, but 00 said it for me. After image. She's fast. Kill her! In an instant, Erica had moved to a spot behind the chair. Her expression remained as blank as it had been before. However, there was now something in her hand that hadn't been there. As the 7 lightning strikes of the 7 sisters raced at her once more, she batted all of them away with her scythe. That was one hell of a farce, but the tea was good. Thanks for the meal. Well now, it seems that you've all been in agreement since the start. Allow me to ask for your answer once again. Erica lifted her left hand, the one that wasn't holding the scythe. I gotta drink some water. Okay. My throat's all clogged up today. Very well. Allow me to answer. This golden land belongs to me, to all of us. If you enter with your shoes on, we'll give you a proper welcome. In other words, to put it elegantly, all cannons prepare to fire. Target, the golden land. Wash your face in miso soup! Shoot him dead! Beatrice has had like an hour, and that's the best she could come up with. Yes, thank you. See you around. Meow. Brent Castell set down the receiver and crossed out yet another name on a list of Lambda Delta's notable friends. Something was wrong. Not a single person she called had heard anything from Lambda Delta. They weren't just playing dumb. They really knew nothing about the strange ruckus Lambda Delta was trying to stir up. Even Brent Castell was starting to suspect that something was fishy. Then a black cat leapt in and meowed a frantic report. Lambda and Battler aren't in the Golden Land? She tore down the phone receiver from its stand. The number she dialed was short. It was probably an internal line. However, after listening to it ring several times, she slammed the receiver down again, finally managing to break the phone. Oh, so she's not even using a cell phone. Gather all the cats who aren't busy. This isn't an emergency. The cats I had guarding the key aren't responding. Lambda... Brent Castell, overwhelmed with emotion, kicked the table over. Then the room finally grew bright. It was like green sunlight. A bright green light waved about, giving the illusion that a green sun was rising and lighting the room up. It was a sign that Brent Castell's army had been given an emergency summons. Come, my kittens. It's time for a witch hunt. That kid always smells like candy, so you'll find her pretty fast. The first cat who finds her gets a human form and a witch's title. Oh no, we're gonna see another one in Saconia. Erica 2. What was now an emerald green nebula let out a roar of delight that shook the bookshelf cliff. Umineko green screen. Something's chasing us. What is that? A green sun? Hide. They know. The three of them frantically hid behind a bookshelf. The room with the key in it was straight ahead. They could see something glinting faintly in the darkness of that room. There is indeed a cat on the desk. I mean, I can try the webcam again. No, like, I just opened it and it's still not working. No. Webcam sucks. I'm just not sure which USB it is, and I don't feel like messing with it too much. Look, I'll look for like 2 seconds here. It's that one there that goes to here. Let me try and plugging it just once. I found which cord it was. Okay, if it works now, it works now, but I don't think it will. Okay, it works. But yes, your guess was correct. Okay, you can have Juniper. You can't have her, but you can observe her. The room with the key in it was straight ahead. They could see something glinting faintly in the darkness of that room. It was a glint different from anything else they had seen so far in the city. The color of the glint was gold. They had almost reached the golden key. However, if they went towards it, Brent Castell would be right behind them, along with their vast swarm of familiars. In other words, they were trapped in a dead end. They already knew that the emerald green color came from the eyes of the familiars. However, it was almost beyond comprehension that this undulating green sun could be the same thing, and they could do nothing except stare in wide-eyed shock. The countless cats were passing through the ravine of bookshelves, from the very top to the very bottom. As they approached, they painstakingly checked the gaps between each book. However, even this mind-numbingly huge task was accomplished swiftly thanks to the sheer number of familiars. I think if you're close enough to see them, they can probably see you. With the speed of a gust of wind, they carefully checked every nook and cranny. There was no way to hide from this green sun. That would have been as foolish as trying to hide from water on a sinking ship. Will we be able to hide until they pass us? No. At this rate, we'll be found no matter where we go. Val was just about to leap out from the shadows, but Lambda Delta grabbed him by the collar an instant before. Are you thinking of fighting? No, we'll be found if we just stand here. So we have to move forward. We need to reach the key as soon as possible. You really think there will be cats guarding the key? Just be pinched between them. I believe in Aunt Ava. She's the one who guided us this far. I'm sure she took care of the guard cats too. I agree. If we're going to be found anyway, let's try and get there as fast as possible and grab the key. If we can just do that, you'll be able to open the book. So you'll rush in there and grab the key. And then what? That place is a dead end, right? You realize there'll be nowhere to run, don't you? We know that, but... the key will be our trump card. It's vitally important to burn Castell too. If worst comes to worst, we might be able to use the key as a bargaining chip. I'll threaten to eat the key. Bargain with Burn? You're insane. But if we hide here, we'll definitely be found. In that case, I'll take a bet on that 1,000,000,000 chance. We'll get the key and have that be our trump card. So you're praying for a miracle to win against the Witch of Miracles? Picking a winner out of astronomically bad odds. That's the issue in the family's magic. I've got good eyesight, so let me enlighten you. Can you see those magic circles around the golden key? That's a simple barrier, but a pretty strong one. It'll break if you just touch it, but it's the sort of annoying seal that'll take exactly 1 hour to fade, whether a great witch or a lowly human does it. It's still over an hour before the ceremony begins. In other words, we won't be able to touch the key unless we can buy time for a whole hour. When Aunt Ava took out the guard cats, she must have broken the magic circle too. It probably won't take an hour. As far as I can see, the magic circle is still intact. Sorry to say it, but even if Ava did touch it, it was less than an hour ago. Well, what's an hour? At least we know we can grab it if we manage to stick around that long. Yeah. Sure, let's play tag for an hour. I'm used to getting chased around by thugs. You two really are out of your minds. You're really planning to play tag against Burn and all our cats? If there's even a 1% chance, you can be certain that we'll grab it. The difference in enthusiasm between the siblings, who had everything to lose, and Lynn the Delta, was immense. However, Lynn the Delta was no coward. She was a great witch of the Senate. If she surrendered, she wouldn't be able to escape severe punishment, but she would be forgiven after a few hundred years. Why would she, after being thrown into a stormy sea while clutching a buoy that could save only her, decide to throw that buoy away? No living person could be as determined as those siblings, who were already fighting for their lives. No one could blame Lambda. You two really are stupid, you know that? Ah well, why don't I tell you about a plan that's got a bit more than a 1% chance of working? How does that sound? The two siblings looked at each other. However, they both thought that any plan would be worth listening to, even if it would only raise their chances by 0.00001%. A sacrifice. Burn is a cat. She'll chase fleeing prey, but she'll also kill prey that doesn't flee. Only after toying with it first. Cats are terrible people. But they are people. Still, if that's true, it'll be worth betting on. Let's have one sacrifice. We'll decide with rock, paper, scissors. Whoever loses has to go taunt Burn, then get laughed at and killed. All to buy as much time as possible. Does that work for you? No need for rock, paper, scissors. I'll do it. You two go into the key room. No way, Oni-chan. I'll do it. This is all my responsibility. I was the one who listened to Brent Castell and trusted her. 3 times. So I've got a thing or two to say to her. No, I guess 2 times. The time she was trapped in the theater, she didn't really have a choice but to deal with that. So 2 times, I think. So that's too many. Both Battler and Angie decided to be the sacrifice and wouldn't listen to the other. See, you need rock, paper, scissors to decide, right? If you don't act quickly, we won't even have a chance to use this plan. They'll be here any moment. Okay, either Angie or I will sacrifice. Of the Delta, you'll take whoever's left, steal the key, and take them back to the Golden Lands. I won't let you do it, Oni-chan. Quit joking around. You've got to let me act like a big brother at least once in a while. There's no time. Rock, paper, scissors, single round. I'm super paper, so of course we'll start with that. Got it, you two? Fine. No regrets, okay. 3, 2, 1, paper. It really was a stupid kid's game of rock, paper, scissors. Since they promised to start with paper, this was a chance to make a surprise attack and use something else. However, both Battler and Angie chose rock. And yet, it wasn't a tie. Because in addition to those 2 rocks, was one person who chose scissors. After staring stupidly at their fists and those scissors, they looked at her. Ah, dang. We were supposed to start with paper, so I figured I'd use scissors and beat you both. I guess paper should have stuck with paper. There had been no reason for Lynn the Delta to join in on the game. This wasn't the time for a joke like that. Battler and Angie, each trying to lose, chose rock, and the Delta alone chose scissors. Don't tell me you intentionally... If you die, we can't even get back to the Golden Land. Doesn't count. Well then, you can just use this. And the Delta made a clenched fist. A palely glowing fragment appeared there, and she gave it to the pair of them. Battler had seen one of these before. It was a magic fragment, like the one Erica had used before disappearing, which would allow one to cross the sea of fragments. With that, you'll be able to return to the Golden Land. And anyway, I'm the best person for the job. You two probably wouldn't last a handful of seconds against Burn. If it's me, not only will an hour be no problem, but who knows? I might even win. And I owe her one. I've got to make this my victory and even the score. Still, away games are such a pain. Lambda Delta pretended to complain as she stood up straight. Anyway, see you in a bit. I guess a show-off like me couldn't stick to being a spectator after all. Sorry for stealing your time to shine. It's sad that I won't be able to watch your game until the end, but I've already been shown the script, so I'm not missing anything. Lambda. Then, with her broadest smile and a wink. This is your happy ending. I've already figured out what happens next, so there's no need to watch. I'll see the two of you again. In the credit roll of your happy ending, that is. But wait. Lambda Delta snapped her fingers, and the two of them turned into confeito candies. She picked them up, took aim at the glint of the golden key, and flicked them away. That way, they should be able to reach the key without Brinka still noticing. Dang, what terrible luck. What were the odds of them both playing a rock against my scissors? Yeah, I know. It wasn't nice of me to test you like that. Sorry, you two. And then, Lambda Delta's body was lit up by an emerald green light. When she turned around, the cat's eyes in Lambda Delta's met. Lambda Delta grinned and waved. There was a fierce roar and several bright flashes. What in the... A chain of explosions flashed by one another, enveloping Burn Castell and her pack of familiars in an instant. Cannon Dom Naku battle. They were multicolored fireworks, or rather multicolored candy that burst with a flash and scattered everywhere. Countless stick candies, sugar sculptures, cookies, and tarts flew in every direction, and each of those split and exploded into hundreds of candies, each of which exploded again into a cloud of confeito. However, these sweets weren't sweet. The confeito was heavier than lead, harder than steel, and sharper than any blade. As the colorful cloud exploded outward, it blasted the entire pack of cats into little bits. The emerald gleam glints were scattered everywhere and sparkled like the night sky, and among them, danced a cloud of pretty candies that looked like they'd go on a Christmas tree. It was sufficiently outrageous and beautiful and cute to mark the great witch Lady Lambda Delta's appearance on the scene. I don't know what Burn would use aside from cats. That's kind of a problem. Lambda Delta has it easy. Candy makes for pretty good projectiles. Oh, if it isn't Lambda. I was hoping to meet you in the party hall. I love you, Burn. Isn't whispering of our love all the better if we're alone? I'll be happy to hear it after it plucked off all your limbs. With a jerk of her chin, Burn ordered her familiars to attack. This is my dearly beloved and my only friend in the world. Her arms from the elbow down, her legs from the knees down. You can chew those up however you please, but not a scratch anywhere else on her. The crowd of cats undulated again, reformed into a single mass, and became the emerald gleaming leviathan that would swallow up any poor victims who snuck into the city of books. I guess you could use a bunch of, like, combining and splitting cat bullets to make, like, cats of different sizes and, like, big cat blobs. You could probably make something work with that. It was shaped like an impossibly vast whale. However, would it look like a whale from Lambda's perspective? She probably couldn't see anything except an immense mouth about to swallow up everything. Ah, simply wonderful. I'm about to be overwhelmed by Burn's love, aren't I? I do love you, Lambda. Once your limbs are gone, I'll skewer you through your butt and hang you by my bed. Every morning, I'll give you a good morning kiss, and every evening, I'll kiss you goodnight. Sounds great. Then I'd better wrap you up in my love, too. However, Lambda Delta's war cry was swallowed up by the glowing, writhing leviathan in a single bite. Yes, you are wonderful, Lambda. I love the empty-headed way you just do things without looking ahead or worrying about your own life. And? At the same instant that Lambda Delta was swallowed and Brinka still was sure of her victory, the latter felt a slight breeze playing with her hair. The countless sweets that Lambda Delta had sent flying like fireworks, and which had drifted about like the decorations at a Christmas party, were flowing. No, they were converging in a single point. It was like watching a firework run backwards. Countless sweets rapidly contracted around the vast, close-mouthed leviathan. A gigantic reverse explosion concentrated on a point inside it. Or perhaps it was more like countless candies showering the leviathan from all directions like bullets. Inside that massive green was a black swirl. That swirl was in a palm. On the palm of Lambda Delta, who wore a defiant smile. It was a massive supergravity. All the sweets, the cats, the whale, and everything else was being sucked into that one point and crunched. I'll hold you tight. Get over here, Burn. You're trying to suck me in? All the candies Lambda Delta had scouted were getting sucked back into the black hole on her palm at unbelievable speeds. Okay, cat's gone. I'm gonna check and see real quick how far I am, by the way. Let's get a rough guess. Okay. That's about right. The reverse explosion of the oncoming candy whittled away the Leviathan, crushing it inwards. Lambda, come on, let me give you a hug. With all her strength, Bryn Costello held her ground in midair, trying to resist the supergravity. For the first time, all trace of condescension had left her face. Even Lambda Delta's cocky expression was marred by the sweat trailing from her forehead. Because the power was so overwhelming, any victory would have to be instantaneous. If either relaxed in the slightest, they would match each other's strengths and get dragged into another dizzyingly long fight that could last for centuries. Neither of them had any desire to go through that again, so neither of them showed the slightest mercy for their most beloved friend. By now, the Leviathan had been completely crushed and compressed inside the black hole. Many cats were harmed in the making of this episode. Bryn Costello was the only one still holding her ground. However, a windstorm of candy asteroids like the asteroid belt... There's more than one asteroid belt, surely. Repeatedly slammed into Bryn Costello, wearing away at her girl swarm bit by bit. I've got to get away, or really... The thing flying into Bryn Costello's range of vision was a comet pelting straight for her with a massive present box at its core and a cloud of candy surrounding it. Lambda... My body, yeah. I can't do all the voice acting with the camera on me, sorry. Or do I know camera tomorrow? The candy comet wiped out Bryn Costello along with her scream. It burst into little bits, and within a blink of an eye, it was sucked back into a hole of supergravity. Once it was all gathered in one place like a gem, it began to spin rapidly. It was flattened by the centrifugal force, turning into something whose shape resembled a galaxy. After swallowing all the cats in their master, it now looked like a wiggling, flickering, emerald green galaxy that floated just above Lambda Delta's palm. See, she's definitely got some good Naku potential. I don't know why because she hasn't made, like, an actual, Umineko Naku game. There's plenty of chances there. He's a Toho fan. Do it! The pocket of supergravity kept compressing it further and further, until, at the end, it had become a single green, shining completo. Then it fell down onto her outstretched palm. Sorry, Bern. I wanted to play with you always, so I've always taken it easy and pretended to be in a pinch. Lambda Delta held the completo above her head and peered at it. But the truth is, I'm just impossibly strong. Sorry about that. Then she pressed the completo to her pink lips, gave it a light kiss, and bit down. This doesn't taste like Bern. Lambda Delta licked her fingertips, then turned to face the empty air behind her. I already knew, my beloved Lambda. Ah, I love you, Bern. Liar. I knew that you never took me seriously. In that case, let's love each other for real. Both of us, seriously. I do love you, Lambda Delta. I'm happy, so happy. I do love you, Bryn Costello. I'll turn you into candy and cuddle you with my tongue forever. No matter who wins, our love will never fade. That's wonderful, just wonderful. Okay, let's love each other right now. You're supposed to be stalling. With a crash, crack lanes appeared across the sky of the Golden Land. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Then, finally, the barrier of the Golden Land was breached by the fleet's assault. It was a bizarre scene, more ridiculous than anything anyone had imagined. The sky of the Golden Land shattered like glass, and a fleet of sailboats flew in one after another. They were crowded with the goats pushing each other and spilling off the sides. You know, where's the water here? I thought the whole thing was it was just an abyss. Come, let us begin. This is the Golden Land's final banquet. A banquet. It wasn't some fancy metaphor, but a simple statement of fact. The overwhelming surge of goat troops came in like a tsunami. The residents of the Golden Land who stood defiantly were like a forgotten sandcastle on a beach. A fight between a wave and a sandcastle is not a fight. This was a banquet, the oncoming Vikings at a stand-up meal, the voracious, merciless goats. Okay, Nazi. There's no way around it. Fire! Good. Come, goats, bring destruction to all that has form, stillness to all that moves, despair to all who live. All those who could use magic fired off at once. With a shout like a thunderclap, the goat tsunami rushed forward. Everything collided at once, and there was a brilliant and terrible explosion. Sparks and smoke, flying splinters and screams. Oh. Okay. You know, you really missed your chance to, Photoshop a pirate hat on him. For just an instant, the fierce magical cannonballs fired by Beato, Virgilia, and the Siesta sisters' corpse seemed to halt the goat tsunami in its tracks. I didn't get to see cannonballs. I don't see magic cannonballs. We never get to see those. I need more drink. There's a gold monster ultra apparently, but it's been discontinued a few years ago. So, no Golden Land drink. Sorry. However, their numbers were so great that they didn't even flinch. The goat wave continued to walk over the corpses that had been blasted away, or which had fallen to their knees in weariness. The mound of corpses piled up, and still more goats were shot down as they tried to cross it, so that, in a few seconds, it really was tall enough to be a tsunami. Pitiful. This golden land you built is nothing more than a sandcastle some kid left on a beach. Be swallowed up and disappear. Perhaps you should liken it to ripples beating meaninglessly against a wharf. A sandcastle getting swallowed by a wave. Just you try swallowing my castle. Oh, we get to see the towers again. The battle towers. I hope there's 4 of them. Beto lifted her hands, telling the pair of battle towers that had been hidden deep in the ground that the day of glory had come again. The goat tsunami looked up at it in shock. After all this time, the tsunami that towered over everything wasn't them. I like that she's reusing this. Fire! Ugh. English. A thunderstorm of rapid-fire ballista rounds leapt from the battle tower gun ports. The goats let out a confused scream at the fierce tempest that was bearing down on them. However, they saw something else too. Usually it's the same stuff. In the sky high above the tower was a reaper astride a divine horse and backdropped by the moon, a massive spear the size of a tower in its hand. The great witch sitting on the horse by the reaper spoke. I really hope if we do get another anime someday that they don't half-ass any of this. And just make it, like, really short and not that flashy. It needs to be grand. Welcome back. This world does not belong to you. Do it, teacher! The heavenly spear pierced the ground. For an instant, it looked like some divine tower was sticking out of the ground. However, that was the very last thing those eyes ever saw. The sacred spear was the embodiment of heaven's wrath, and the strength to bury an unclean city in a single stroke was unleashed upon the pack of goats. With a massive explosion that resembled a volcanic eruption, goats were sent flying all over the place. That is not what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Not bad. I guess they really are witches. But is it enough? The enemies keep on coming. It looks like we'll be the ones swallowed up after all. At least you two seem to be enjoying yourselves. Wahaha. How could one fail to enjoy such a festival? It seems our time in the limelight shall not be stolen from us after all. Looks like it. I'm all fired up. Yes, the crowd of goats truly was like a wave, pressing in from the sea. You might be able to split a ripple on the beach with your feet, but you can't split the sea. Witches could. However, that meant the other side also had someone who could split seas. Suddenly, smoke poured from one of the 2 towers, and the ground shook as it crumbled. Hold on, Beatrice. Too soon. What the hell happened? Over there, on top of the other tower. Erica. But of course, it is your turn now, is it not? At the top of the other battle tower, Erica stood gracefully wielding her scythe. I'd say that's enough to show the witches of the Golden Land proper respect. All magic is fake. It's just a fantasy sandcastle that'll always vanish when mystery swallows it up. Playing witches was pretty fun, though. I think I remember playing something like this with some older girls from the neighborhood when I was younger. So let's bring this to an end. Now it's time to hear you scream. Erica threw that pretentious pirate hat that she'd been wearing this whole time into the sky. With the moon behind it, Erica's form, her afterimage, vanished from the tower's peak. Where is she? We have her on radar. She's on the side of the tower. Shaking with a wild, joyous laughter, Erica dashed straight down the tower. She swung her scythe like a baton, and as she passed along the tower's wall, its gun ports, walls, pillars, and everything else was crushed, leaving a trail of smoke. He's really trying to set this up for a cool anime scene. Oh, CG? Oh, nice. Why of this part specifically? I mean, it's cool. But I wonder why now. Yep. There she goes. She's doing it. So from the sidelines, it looked as though a line of smoke suddenly split the tower from the top to the bottom. The golden arrows of the Chester sisters' corpse chased after Erica like golden threads in a sewing machine. You monster. Get yourself sewed and embroidered, yeah. Good. Good. Even the golden arrows couldn't catch up with Erica. Finally, Erica reached the bottom of the battle tower and empty cartridges were ejected from the golden bows. First useless tower. Isn't that the phrase? Erica, who had now landed on the ground, slowly stood up and tapped the tower behind her with a hand over her scythe. That tiny tap cut the final string that held the tower together, and the whole thing fell in on itself with an earth-shattering crash. Once again, the dark tsunami rumbled forward through the rubble and smoke. I'm footed Erica, Witch of Truth. This moment marks the dismantling of the Golden Land by the truth. Dust to dust, illusions to illusions. I'll end your daydream for you. You weren't there in episode 7, Erica. You don't know about that. You can't do that. Come, try and remember ghosts. Remember how you died so long ago. The goat tsunami swallowed everything up. When she saw them sink under the black sea of goats, Erica guffawed from atop the debris of the tower. Come on now, kill them, massacre them all. Cut off all their heads and stick them on spears. Ghosts of 1986. The time has come for the whirlpool of truth to swallow you whole and erase you. So long. So long. Let me check the wiki real quick here. Ooh, there's a lot more left than I thought. Ooh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I thought it was like 5 sections further than I thought it was. Ava had broken the magic circle around the key beforehand after all. By the time Battle Ranger reached it, it was falling apart like the sand in an hourglass. They tried punching and kicking to make it break faster, but nothing they did hastened the process. It looks like she broke it a while ago, but it'll probably take some time before it's gone. Just a bit longer, I think. If we could just buy time for 5 minutes. Judging by the speed the magic circles were crumbling and the general appearance of the whole scene, it looked like it would be over soon. However, right now, could even 5 minutes be considered soon? They turned around. I mean, just leave it to Lambda, what are you guys gonna do? Beyond the bookshelf ravine was a universe. Even Battler, who had seen Beato's fights many times over, the battler between Lambda Delta and Burncastel was so mind-defying that he couldn't think of a single word to describe it. Silly. When he finally managed to find a word, it was a universe. Each time a battle between Lambda Delta and Burncastel unfolded, a universe was created between the pair of them. Big bangs would take place, universes would be created, galaxies beyond number would be born and erased. Then, just when it seemed like that a big crunch had occurred, and that the universe had met its demise, there would be another Big Bang and another universe would be created. It was like watching gods playing. The two witches created and destroyed worlds over and over again, almost as though two creators were fighting to prove that the universe was the right one. If you let your guard down on the slightest, then just watching this would steal your soul. That's how it felt. Battler, what does that even mean? The witches, not demons. We'll be able to get the key back any second now. Then it'll be possible to go back to the Golden Land with the fragment one the Delta gave us, right? Go back as soon as you get the key. I can't leave the Delta on her own. What are you gonna do? Put in your cape and fight? You're going to jump into that fight? I can't leave her on her own. But you can't leave Angie on her own either. Their fight may defy common sense. However, they're perfectly and evenly matched. So, if anyone jumps in, even a single weak human like me, something might break. A perfect balance maintained by two great powers can easily break by adding even a little strength to one side. If anything, you're going to get in the way and land the Delta's going to, like, have to stop an attack so she doesn't hit you. Burn's not going to care. However, actually, rushing in there to add that little bit of strength would be literally suicidal. Like a moth flying into a furnace. It might burn up before it even reaches it. Once you get the key, go straight back to the Golden Land. We don't know how long they can hold out, remember? I can't go back alone, not when everyone is fighting. That's right, this is your fight. So fight. I know you regret not dying with everyone else, but you've got to overcome that feeling and live in the future. That's what you decided to do, right? Angie had no words to respond with. Her brother and everyone else would probably die, so she wanted to die in the same place and at the same time as everyone else. However, that could not be allowed, and she mustn't wish for it. She had already made up her mind. She had sworn to live in the future without turning back to look at everyone's deaths. When you get back to the Golden Land, show the key to Beato. Beato will show you two doors. Then she'll give you an easy puzzle and tell you to open one of them. That's the last game on my game board. Two doors. Of the two, one will lead you to the future. Don't worry, I'm sure you won't choose the wrong one now. Also, once you go through it, don't turn back until the door closes. Why can't I turn back? And when the door closes, you won't be able to see our fate anymore. In other words, we'll be shut inside the cat box. A fate inside a cat box has endless truths. That's right. We might have lost pathetically, or we might have made a miraculous comeback and survived. In other words, if you, the Witch of the Future, are sent into the future without witnessing the end of a conflict, we'll still have a chance at victory. However, if you keep on looking at us, you'll see when we get annihilated. That'll put the odds of our defeat at 100%. So to give us a miraculous victory, you must not turn back once you go through that door. Got it? Yeah. So I'll go and help blame the Delta. If you go back to the Golden Land after seeing me walk off like a hero, that's how my story will end for you. The end of your battle will be sealed in the cat box. So you certainly won't lose. In big air quotes. Exactly. So don't look back. You'll have the keys soon. You've got to go back to the Golden Land like your life depends on it. So real quick, I have one message for the you of the future. Don't forget it and engrave it into your heart. Okay, okay. No matter what happens, never abandon the hopes that keep you alive. All of us are always behind you. If you just believe, we can even speak to you. Believe it. If one thing is certain, it's that miracles happen when you believe. No, you're supposed to tell her without truth it cannot be seen. At that moment, Lambda Delta and Bryn Castell were wrapped in a massive explosion. Surely one of them had delivered a powerful blow. There were no further explosions, so that strike must have decided the match. When the smoke clears, who will be left standing? The magic circle sealing the key still needed several minutes to dissolve. Are you still there, my beloved Lambda Delta? All that came into sight was Bryn Castell. There was no answering voice from Lambda Delta. If this was a sign of her victory, it did not cause Bryn Castell's expression to grow any brighter. Too bad, Lambda. I never thought we'd be able to build a universe together. It's too bad, really, too bad. Bryn Castell was still focusing all her nerves on the battle, so she took no notice about where Angie by the key. However, she would probably notice soon, and then there would be nowhere to run. The last section of the magic circle was starting to fade away. However, almost cruelly, the final circle went slower than the rest. Seeing that, any hopes that it would dissolve in a minute, or maybe a few dozen seconds, were crushed absolutely. Bella readied himself. Well, this fight probably won't work out as well as the last one, but it looks like I'm up now. Oni-chan. You're great, Angie. I'm proud that you didn't try to stop me. With tears still pouring down her face, Angie lovingly rubbed her cheek against the hand that had been patting her head. I mean, to be fair, Burn doesn't actually know... Yeah, I'll show those off, thanks, real. She doesn't actually know that Angie's back. It was pure chance that she washed up, like, near the Golden Land in the Sea of Oblivion, right? Anyway, here's some cool art of Lambda Delta. And of the other one. Oops. Hold on, I don't know what I just grabbed and moved. I think it was an overlay. Okay, there. The other one. Burnkastel. I like the little fang she's got there. It's cute. I've got to gather the kitties again. I thought Ballard would be with her, but I don't see him for some reason. After all, one guy like him would be about as annoying as a pebble in my shoe. The smoke cleared completely, and they saw a huge cloud of candy bits floating around, like it was Lambda Delta's corpse. A star-shaped cookie bounced off of Burnkastel's head. It was missing one of its points, giving it a lonely feeling. Lambda Delta, live with me. I'll become a single universe with you inside me. Burnkastel chewed the cookie and swallowed it. This way we'll always be together. I love you, Lambda. Me too, Burn. Burnkastel's stomach suddenly swelled like a balloon. Okay, we don't need to see this part animated. The bowls rose from her stomach to her throat, then exploded like a firework from her mouth. From Burnkastel's mouth spewed fireworks, sparks, fragments of candy. You really should fix those habits you've had since you were a cat. Here's a hint. If you find a piece of candy lying in the ground somewhere, don't pick it up and eat it. Very true. Burnkastel doubled over even more, still spitting up an exploding firework. The birth of a small universe from that sweet had hit her directly from the inside of her stomach. Even Burnkastel couldn't withstand that. Yoshi's Island ass way of getting defeated. As Burnkastel repeatedly vomited fireworks so violently that it seemed her guts would spill out. Okay, maybe that's more like Yoshi's story then. Her body flickered in and out of existence, and she glared at Lambda Delta with a terrifying expression. Her body was flickering because she had taken so much damage that even maintaining her form was now difficult. Allie, no. No, you don't go that way. No. Around. I really gotta get, like, the shelves at the top of each room that the cats can walk on or something. I want one of those houses. How slovenly, Burn. Your body's falling apart. Lambda... I sort of felt like losing for a bit, but I changed my mind. If I became a single universe with you, you wouldn't whisper to me of your love anymore. No, honey. No. No. I mean it. Don't do it. True. I'm not the type to give food to a fish I've already caught. I know. That's why you shine so beautifully. You'll lead someone on, but never actually dote on them, just like a proud queen of cats. I'll turn you into a cardboard box and make you my scratching post. And I'll make you a shamisen, get bored after plucking one string, then put you in a cupboard and let the dust pile up on you. Creative. The goat tsunami had swallowed up everything, but sea spray was still flying about. The reefs resisted the ocean that was trying to cover them, and were smashing waves left and right. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory and the Inquisitors of Heresy specialized in close-range combat and were rapidly building a mountain of corpses. The witches fought hard too, but they would have preferred to fight at a distance if they could. Illusions alone wouldn't be enough. In these battle conditions, all the humans were thrust right into the center of the fight. Everyone in the Yoshimura family displayed a fighting spirit equal to the witches and guarded their backs. Even humans are not powerless, they have guns. If the goats supported fantasy, they could use these as the ultimate anti-magic weapons. If the goats supported mystery, they could use these in a much more obvious way. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Erica's anti-fantasy here, she's in the set of mystery, so that means she's able to be just shot. Sure, she can still deflect bolts with her scythe, but for how long? Those 45 long Colt bolts delivered fatal wounds to each and every goat they struck. Just die already. How long are you going to resist? Give up and sink, Ushirimiya. Telling an Ushirimiya to sink makes him fight all the harder. Little girl, you have no idea what the Ushirimiya family is. You were dead even before 1986, weren't you? It's about time you stopped moving, Gramps. Erika's razor-sharp scythe buried itself in Kinzo's chest. It dug straight into his heart, but the daring smile on Kinzo's face didn't even falter. Oh, was my death ever witnessed by anyone outside the cat box? I'm indestructible. Indestructible! A punch containing the entirety of Kinzo's last spark of life sent Erika flying. Father, are you okay? Overcome, my corpse. The Ushida family never turns back. No, Ellie, you don't go that way. As Erika tried to deliver the finishing blow, Cross stepped in between them, blocking the way. I will be your opponent in Father's place. Oh? If it isn't the incompetent investing expert. It's pretty impressive how you managed to find all the worst bets losing your money so quickly. Don't worry, Erika. AI is looking really good right now. And yet, even if I remember to tie my shoes... Huh? Oh, there's CG. Well, they really did blow the whole budget here. You weren't exaggerating at all. Kinzo and Natsu get CG. That's nice. Try to clean these up as I show them too. Then we get Kraus punch. If you couldn't guess, he was going to punch her. Actually, it says right here. Erika tried to look down at her feet, but what she saw was Kraus's left fist. Kraus's left uppercut made Erika float in the air. Not by magic, but by the simple laws of physics. For an instant, Erika saw the moon. Maybe I was incompetent as an investor. However, any of my college friends will attest to my talent as a boxer. I will not allow you to discredit every part of the Ushida family, little girl. You damn small fry. Canon is an illusion. Illusion created by a lonely Jessica. That's a shitty theory. At the school festival, I introduced Canon-kun to everyone. Saku and Hina and everyone else. All of my friends can testify to that. Don't make assumptions about a relationship based on your own imagination. Jessica's body blow made the goat's massive body cave in. Splendidly done, my lady. To think that you could wield such power in a tight spot like this. Well, of course. After all, I'm thinking I don't really care if I die. This is the first time we've worked together with you at my back. Too bad it isn't cutting the cake. Jessica laughed embarrassedly. She looked even more relaxed than she had on stage at the school festival. We have plenty to cut here besides cake. You always try to sound so cool. But that's what I like about you. I don't know what this whole motion manga thing's all about. I've never heard of that. Is it something official? The massive bodies that rushed them, trying to deny the relationship and their re-existence, had two choices, be sliced or be struck. Each time one of those bodies hit the floor, it became proof that the two of them existed. No, they're gonna save the opening for something better. We have... There's a ton of spots that you could say, oh, they should be playing the opening in episode 8. They can't play it the whole time. Shannon is an illusion. George is an antisocial shut-in. That one might be true. The love itself is an illusion and doesn't exist. George-sama, look out. Haters. The goat's log-sized fist buried itself in George's face. This was the middle of a massive, confused battle. There was no way to dodge an unexpected attack like that. An antisocial shut-in, huh? Very well. Say what you wish about me. George had indeed been hit with a fist right to the center of his face. However, he didn't bend over backwards. Not even an inch. The goat started to wonder what it was he had hit. Hadn't he punched a human made of flesh? It was as though he had slammed his fist into a steel wall, and it was his fist that was hurting. However, the goat was too scared to move his fist from George's face. Ooh. I like that one. After all, if he did, the expression on that face would probably be too terrifying. He was correct. George Aura moment. George pressed his hand against that fist. You probably could get testimony from my old classmates from school. Yes, I was an anti-social person. However, there was one more thing that they'll tell you. Something far more important. George was only grabbing the goat's massive fist in his tiny hand. However, that fist was being crushed as though it had a vice around it. Even though the other hand was tiny, the goat couldn't move its fist. Excuse me, George never fought for himself, no matter what happened to him. He was a coward who ran away from all threats. Everyone will tell you that. However, they won't tell you that he never got into a fight. I accepted the fact that someone as pathetic as me would be bullied. However, never have I let anyone provoke or challenge anyone who treated someone as pathetic as me, like a friend. George badass. The goat's broken teeth flew through the air. And Hakume cleaned up his desktop of CG. Gonna delete like 10 things from OBS here. I don't even know what some of these are. Alright, it's a little bit cleaner. I hope OBS's layout. Maybe I should use a different program or something in the future, but I don't want to have to move my settings over, so I don't know about that. The goat's broken teeth flew through the air. George's furious feet split the heavens. Shen had approached George for his money, and a goat's filthy finger touched Shaman's back. That finger exploded and boiled away. My love for George San is true and pure. George San must have kept all the letters I wrote him. Read those and you'll have your proof. You can write anything in a letter. The contents of a letter are no proof of true love. A blazing red light charred the goat's entire body. Shannon slowly turned around, her face full of rage and contempt. Pitiful spectator, ignorant of love. You have no right to read a mystery, much less a person's heart. Disappear. An absolute barrier rose up around Shannon, burning up the goats around her with its flames. Yeah, maybe we are dead. But that doesn't give anyone the right to criticize us. No one can deny the love Maria and Mama shared. Maria smiled, showing her teeth, and performed her job without even looking at her hands. Then she tossed the fully loaded rifle straight up into the air. I like that they're doing a callback. Come and get some. Rosa, who stood back to back with Moria, caught it without turning around. No, that wasn't all. Moria had passed the gun to her mother perfectly without even looking back. Rosa's head was pointed at the ground as she stroked the frigid trigger with her index finger. If any of you doubt my love for my daughter, step forward. A crowd of goats, cowed by Rosa's ferocity, didn't get any closer to her. No, the pachinko one sucked. I'm just gonna show off the good one. Let's keep it to the good CG today. It's really nice. Not hard to tell which one is which. Then I'll deny it. Being the serial cheater you are always off playing around with some man and leaving Moria all alone. I mean, was she even married to Moria's father? Did they ever get married? And if they did they not just get divorced? I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. But he wasn't around, like, of his own will, clearly. So, like, even I'll say, yeah, it doesn't really matter at that point if you cheat. And that's a victim of that. Nothing like that is written anywhere in Maria's diary. You should know better than anyone else. Rosa didn't love you. She was a crabby mother who regretted even giving birth to you. Erica was peering at the unfeeling moon, the taste of metal in her mouth. For a moment, she didn't realize what was happening. Was that cold feeling in her back the ground? Huh? Why am I lying down? Wasn't the moon full? Why isn't it now? Come to think of it, my teeth hurt. There's something cold and hard there. Then she figured it out. She was lying sprawled on the ground with a gun barrel shoved into her mouth. And the thing splitting the moon was the angry king of wolves protecting its child. The gun barrel exploded inside her mouth, shattering her medulla oblongata. But it was only her afterimage. Ah. You can just follow up anything with that, can't you? What a terrifying woman you are. Are you really cute? Erica, who had escaped death at the last moment by leaving an afterimage, found a metallic flash right before her eyes, which had been there before she even reappeared. It's kind of a shame that we never see, like, Rosa Beatrice. It's a popular fan theory. Maybe not so much nowadays, now that the manga's out and clearly denies it, but it was a popular theory, or at least it was a theory. That's the one famous for having a 10-hour video on it. which is a damn good watch, and I want to rewatch it again. Yes, I said rewatch again. This will be at least my 3rd time. Hey, no, come on. Go over this every time, Cat. You can't go back there. No. She's trying to get to, like, the power cable for my 2nd monitor. Really rather she not. The fountain pen went right through Erica's eye, crushing it. Of course, that was another afterimage. However, when Erica escaped and reappeared somewhere else, a heel was already there waiting for her. From the goat's perspective, several afterimages of Erica seemed to be appearing at once, all of which were pierced by Rosa at the same time. If you say that again, I'll have to get serious. Alma's really strong, kee. What the hell? And so Erica couldn't reappear anymore. At the very least, not within Rosa's range of attack. Erica put a lot of distance between her and Rosa, reappearing in midair. What are these people? What the hell? Erica's animal instincts made her turn her head slightly to the side just in time. Where it used to be, there was an odd shower of sparks. It wasn't magic, it was a real physical phenomenon caused by lead smashing against lead. To think that 2 bullets shot from 2 different angles could have flown with impossible precision at where her head once was, so that both of them hit and bounced off each other like billiard balls. This is some JoJo shit here. It's part 5. Aw, so close. Sorry about that. We're big fans of the whole take out the boss first strategy, you see. Play pigeons are a specialty. Flying along in a straight line probably isn't a good idea. The 2 of them spun the rifles in exactly the same way, at exactly the same time, reloading them in a manner that put old westerns to shame, then pointed them back up at where Erica was in the sky. You monsters. Once again, their accurate shots plunged through the forehead of Erica's afterimage, bouncing off each other like billiard balls with a shower of sparks. Go to your turn. This time, Erica appeared far behind them. She had to admit it. She had been forced to escape to a place outside the range of those guns fired by humans. Then the light from the moon was blocked. The place she had fled to so rapidly exploded, sending chunks of rubbish flying. A massive longsword had been plunged into the ground. There isn't really any good reason for them to be kicking Arizuka's ass so hard here. Just pretend it's, you know, our objective viewpoint. Angie isn't here. Whatever wants to happen can happen. It's a better story this way. A massive longsword had been plunged into the ground. It was Delanor's. Oh, if it isn't my old friend. She had dodged by a hair, but this bulky, brutal longsword was more of a cannonball shaped like a sword than something for cutting with. Even though she dodged it, the blast of air pressure made her eardrums throb. Though when it was serious, she seriously intended to smash Erica to bits. What's with a scary face? Can't you try and act a bit, I don't know, cuter? Do you find this enjoyable? Destroying people's dreams and illusions? Of course it's enjoyable. What do you expect an intellectual rapist to do? You are an evildoer, and yet I used to believe you the sort of evil worthy of sympathy. I never asked for your sympathy. Not cutting you down immediately upon our meeting. That sin of mine is what brought this day to pass. Leonard's hair bristled with rage. The sight this expression on one of her old friends... Oh, they missed a word there, of. Pinned Erica to the spot. My friend, allow me to free you before you can suffer. I will not let you bear any further sins. Well, wait. Leonard's so cool. I don't know which song this is, I'm not sure. Okay, I think this is... Wait, am I at the same part in this summary that I was at 20 minutes ago? I am. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. You know, if they did make this into an anime, this would be like 3 episodes at least of like straight fighting. And I guess there's anime that do that. That's normal enough for stuff like Dragon Ball, so I guess that's not anything too special, is it? The force of anger that welled up from Deliner's whole body struck Erica, or rather the swirl blasting wind from Deliner's massive longsword sent her flying. cannonball with a blade repeatedly cracked the ground just after Erica leapt away. So it almost looked as though Erica was jumping backwards, smashing the earth beneath her with each jump. Lenore, friend of mine, rest in peace. The great longsword split the air again, pulverizing the ground. However, this time, Erica was nowhere to be seen. What did she escape to? I might reschedule a little bit and make it so this concludes on the 6th, which is also appropriate because it's the day after. You know, it makes sense. You know, you don't learn the truth until after the incident. There should be a good point coming up where I may consider doing that. But maybe tomorrow, based on how long it takes to get from where I'm stopping today to where I want to start the final session, maybe I could do it all at once. We'll see. This is showing no signs of stopping, though. Erica had broken the barrier of the Golden Land, landing on a ship whose bow was barely in sight. You can't go back there. No. Practically speaking, she had run away. Fully aware of this, Erica held, her face contorted with humiliation. Her shoulders heaved with her breathing, and she even forgot to fix her hair. The scythe fell from her hand and landed with a clank to the floor. That sound brought her back to her senses. Stupid goats. What are you standing around staring for? Open gun ports. Load concept negation explosive rounds. Disregard aiming procedures. Just fire. Don't go back there. Warships that had flown into the Golden Land opened their gun ports one after another, and then they all fired at once in a scattered mass of cannonballs. The hundreds of explosive rounds they fired would negate the concept of anything or person they touched, smashing them into little bits and setting them ablaze with flames. The battlefield full of writhing goats became a fiery hell. No. No. A cannonball smashed the arbor. The once beautiful guard maze was burned down bit by bit, and the fleeing gold butterflies were wrapped in flames, spreading into nothingness like little scraps of paper. This was no longer a battlefield where two sides fought for victory. It was just a confused, hellish pot of boiling water. The Golden Land was being torn apart. The once beautiful rose garden was filled with explosion craters, and its rose petals were scattered about without pity. There were flying bits of flesh, blood, fangs, jaws, shrieks and half-crazed screams, and even amidst this hellish swirl, the goats and the dead continued to fight. As seen from atop the boats, this was hell without a doubt. All ships, drop anchors. When Erica yelled, the goats on the boats ran around frantically, and one by one, massive anchors hanging by chains were thrown from the ship's bows down to the earth below. Those anchors smashed through not only the ground, but the bottom of the Golden Land itself, digging in them with their wedge-shaped tips. Erica! Oh, Beatrice-san. This battle's so huge it had me worried. I thought I might not be able to find you before the whole thing ended. Beatrice landed on the front tip of the warship, facing off against Erica, who stood on the bow. You will not be forgiven. I'll finish you myself right here. Beato jabbed with her pipe. It transformed into a beautifully intricate golden longsword. Very well, that's just what I'd hoped for. Let's settle this. Erica threw her scythe up into the air. When it returned to her hand, it had become a sword similar to Beato's. The nearby goats crowded around Erica, trying to support her. You stay out of this. All of you need to start lifting the anchors. Tear up the Golden Land by its roots. Aye aye, sir. The goats bowed and rushed to their posts. Several dozen ships had lowered their anchors, digging into the base of the Golden Land. Soon they were going to try and pull them up, tearing the Golden Land to pieces. Come, Erica. I'll give you the honor of my final duel. Beato raised her sword, bowed in the ancient fashion, and waited for her opponent. Erica kicked off her shoes violently and slowly walked up to the tip of the boat barefoot. Then, in accordance with Beato's rules, she bowed back. It was a duel on the prow of a ship that pierced the sky. Below, the crowd of ghosts was being blasted away by the indiscriminate cannonballs, burned up and crushed in the panorama of this world's end. But now, it would be stupid to wonder whether anyone from the Umineko family was still alright. Yes, it truly was the end of this world. The end of the Golden Land. Ground to dust filled with flames. The Golden Rose Garden was burning spectacularly, with bits of fire and golden splashes flying about. The ground creaked as fissures ran through it, through to the base of the Golden Land. All the ships started pulling up their anchors at once. Crowds of mighty ghosts used up all their monstrous strength to lift them. The anchors that dug into the Golden Land's base spread cracks throughout the entire Golden Land. Not just the ground, the air itself was filled with cracks, and shards of gold fell down everywhere. The Golden Land's end was adored with the flames of hell and streaking gold fragments, with fiery red and ephemeral gold. No, you can't go up there. Atop the boat's prow, Beto and Erica looked down on this, their swords crossed and sparks flying between them. Now this is one hell of a sight to see. Don't you think it's fitting? The perfect final chapter for your tale. The Golden Land may meet its end. I may perish as well. However, no one can erase the fact that we were here. And you reached the answer. The Witch of the Future has a mission and hope, and will soon set off on a new journey. We have already succeeded. Too bad for you, Koro Erica. This battle ends with our victory. This was a duel between the master of the illusion called the Golden Land and the witch who controlled truth. The earth split between them. Behind them. The Golden Land was torn up. The catbox known as the Golden Land was ripped apart, and the nothingness below peeked out through the cracks. The scrambling crowd of goats fell through the gaps and were swallowed by the sea of nothingness. Beato's friends were among them. They helped each other, lent a hand to each other, unwilling to sacrifice anyone until the final moment. Still, what a romantic and fragile illusion is the end of the world. The ground shattered and sank. It fell apart into the ocean of nothingness. None could survive. None could be saved. This was destruction. As the comrades in arms fell into the sea of nothingness, they looked up one last time and prayed. They prayed that the master of the Golden Land would leave proof that the Golden Land had indeed existed. However, if Beto didn't look down at them, they wouldn't have wanted her to. This is our Golden Land. I am the endless and golden witch Beatrice, and I am here. We may fall, but we will not be defeated. You shall become living proof. I'll carve the proof of our existence into your chest. So long, Beatrice. This marks the end of that stupid endless game. Fall into hell, you illusion. Finally, the song is changing. Okay, let me see. I think considering there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 song transitions left until the point where I wanted to stop. This is probably a fine place to stop after all for the day. Because what's left before the part that I wanted to stop at today is roughly what's left after the part that I wanted to do. I want to watch the motion manga. Maybe sometime, but not on stream, no. Not on stream. Okay. But that'll be a good place for today, I think. After all. I'll either finish tomorrow or the next day then. We'll see. I'm not sure what will happen there yet. Depends on how quickly I can get to the place tomorrow I was thinking of. Basically. Very important, turning point that I need to reach. So we'll see about that.